Hey, Doc, welcome to the Simplified Integration Podcast. You're listening to episode number 17, Integration Path number 3. I'm a scaling operator.
Leonardo da Vinci once said that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and I agree. You see, the problem with the way that most consulting groups approach medical integration is anything but simple. In fact, it's the exact opposite. It's expensive, it's complicated, and quite frankly, it's exhausting. Enough is enough. There are far too many amazing integrated clinics that are struggling. Well, I'm on a mission to change that. What I've come to find from over 5 years working with integrated practices is that simplicity really is the secret. The old saying of less is more is true. Through a streamlined approach, I was able to create multiple successful 7-figure integrated clinics, and now I'm going to show you how you can do the same. Join me as I share with you the secrets to successful medical integration and practice growth. Join me on a journey to greater sophistication through innovation. I'm Dr. Andrew Wells, and welcome to the Simplified Integration Podcast.
What's going on, Doc? I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome back to part 4 in a 5-part series. And in this series, to recap, we're talking about the 3 different paths of integration. And today we're going to be talking about path number 3, how to scale and grow your operation. So just as a little recap, to go back, there are 3 paths in integration. And the reason we talk about the 3 paths is because this old conventional way of doing integration doesn't make sense anymore. And what I mean by that is what some of like the big box management groups the way they're teaching integration is a very large, complicated, expensive, risky operation, and that model is dead. And what a lot of doctors are realizing is there's not just one way to integrate. There are several ways, and we've broken them down into 3 different steps. The first step being offering a niche, cash-based service like regenerative medicine to help grow your practice and run right alongside your chiropractic business. So it's a great way to get started in integration. It doesn't cost a lot of money. In fact, you can do it in less than $10,000. You can get it started in less than 90 days. So it's a super simple way to get into integration if that's something you're considering. The second path being what we call a growth coordinator. And this is when you strategically implement certain insurance-based therapies to help grow your revenue, help make care more affordable to patients. And it's a great way to start using third-party payers without having this big bloated system. And again, this is a system you can run full-time or part-time or whatever you want it to be. And that's the beauty of simplified integration. It's when clients come on, they call me, my first question for them is, what is your goal? What is your goal professionally? What is your goal personally? And we match you with what path works best for you and your goals. So instead of saying, hey, I'm interested in integration, it's like, all right, here you go. Here's this massive system, implement this, and this will get you to your goals. Like, doesn't work that way. It doesn't work well that way, I should say. There are different flavors of integration, if you will, for what you're looking to get out of your practice. And then finally, today we're talking about path number 3, being a scaling operator. And we're going to talk about this topic over the next 2 episodes. I'm going to introduce this idea. And then on the next episode, I have a special guest. His name is Warren Phillips. Warren is a fantastic guy. He's an expert in this area. He's been in the health field and helping chiropractors for over a decade. And he's a really, not only a successful guy, super smart, one of the smartest guys I know in our profession. And he's going to help walk us through what it means to scale a business. So let's break this down. So path number 3, this path is probably the one that most doctors are not going to apply to their practice, but I think that they should in with certain elements of it. So what I mean by being a scaling operator is how to grow your business and expand your business using smart systems. And the reason this is important is because I see this happen a lot with integration is doctors, they buy into a program and then they have all these systems they have to implement, but they get so overwhelmed with just running integration that they never get a chance to look inward and be able to create systems like management systems and business systems that help you run your practice in a smooth, efficient way. So it's one thing to have certain protocols in your office. It's a completely separate thing to have business structure. And what happens when you add business structure and organization to your business is you're able to start getting your staff to do what you want them to do without having to micromanage each step of the process. And this applies to your front desk staff. This applies for your chiropractor or your medical staff. It applies to all the other people in your office. So it's creating systems that allow you to run your business in an economical way without without this so common doctor burnout where the doctor is doing everything. And I see this happen a lot, is that the chiropractor ends up being the chiropractor, the business director, the case manager, the salesperson, the marketer. They're doing all these different things in their business for two reasons. Number one is they think that no one else can do it as good as they can, or they just don't know how to teach other people to do those things at a high level. So if you want to grow your practice or open multiple locations, you have to have these things in place in order to do that. And I'll add on top of that, you should have those things in place for your organization right now. And this is what a lot of chiropractic offices, integrated offices just don't have. And this is the stuff that doesn't sometimes come natural. When you're talking about business organization, there are these strategies apply not only to like mom and pop type offices, but they also apply in Fortune 500 companies. So in every successful business, you'll see these elements of organization and structure. But the problem is doctors sometimes don't know they exist. And if they do know they exist, they're not really sure how to implement them and how to take these concepts and theories into actual tangible practice. And that's what we help our clients with. So at some point, if you integrate, the question then becomes, all right, I've got these protocols in place. I have my staff in place. We're having success with our therapies. Then the next question is, how do I make that run smoother? And maybe that means you just want to make your office run smoother, your single office, or maybe just have more patients come in, make more money without blowing up your bank account. There are some ways to do that. Or you're the doctor who says, all right, I've got this down. Now, how do I do it a second time and a third time and a fourth time? So having run multiple clinics and multiple businesses at the same time, I've recognized and implemented these strategies to make it work, so that I'm not like the one doing all the little work and the minutia and the details in the business. So I hope that makes sense. So what we're talking about here is not the clinical part. We're talking about the business part. So this is sort of the next path, and this is not for everybody. So some doctors are really, really happy just running their one clinic, and they're happy that they can make it like be busier if they want, or they can slow it down if they want, but they don't have to have this really like super dialed in business. They can make it run and they're happy doing that. But for other doctors, they want more. So what we're talking about with path 3 is that this is for doctors who want to open multiple locations. They want to dramatically increase the volume in their practice. And what we help you with is developing reproducible systems. So really what we're looking at is all the bottlenecks in your practice and how to remove the bottlenecks so that you can expand. Because if you don't remove the bottlenecks, either you're going to get burnt out, you're going to piss off your staff, everyone's going to quit and leave, and you have to hire new staff, and that cycle happens over and over again. I know, because we've done it that way. And also we're going to focus on business and growth strategy. So do you have the right systems and protocols and therapies in place in order to make that happen? So in other words, if you're banking on the fact that you're going to use a fad, if your office is built off of fads, so something that's not going to be popular, a year from now, I'm talking about like weight loss type stuff is really common, or like all these different fads pop up in chiropractic. Like that may not be, that's not a therapy that you can build and scale and grow on long term. So we want to make sure you have the right therapies and protocols in place first. And then once you get to that point, how do we get to a 7-figure and larger revenue stream? Maybe you can do it in one office. Some doctors can do that. Maybe you do it over 2 or 3 different offices. So there's different strategies to do that. And they all really vary and depend on what you want to get out of your practice. And then finally, so a lot of doctors have thought about this before, but what we want to do is create a sellable asset. So if you have these systems in place and your office is growing and you have a healthy revenue stream, you're keeping your costs down, but also you have some sort of automation built in, that practice then becomes a very, very attractive asset that you can potentially sell. People want to buy those types of businesses. The problem with trying to sell a chiropractic business is that typically the doctor is the one running, they're running the show. It's Dr. Wells' show or Dr. Smith's show. And it's hard to sell that because once the doctor leaves, the practice implodes. Well, that's not true when you're running a well-run integrated clinic. You don't have, the chiropractor isn't a part of that, right? They are a part of it, but they're not a crucial linchpin in that system. So you can remove the chiropractor and replace a business manager or a business owner, and they can run this exact same practice. So when you start to scale and start to implement these systems, you now have a very attractive sellable asset, so that So listen, Doc, if you're like 55 years old or 60 years old and you're like, yeah, I would really like to retire in a couple of years, this is a great way to do it. Or if you're 35 or 40 years old and say, hey, I want to be able to retire or sell my business in 5 or 10 years from now, we can provide a roadmap of how to do that. And so if you haven't thought about that yet, like I hope that just want to plant a seed. But if you're already there and you're saying, hey, I would love to be able to expand my practice, I would love to get systems that I can implement today that I can start to streamline my office and scale and grow the practice, we can provide you with that. So I'm not going to go into all the details. I want to save the next episode with with Warren Phillips. We're going to go over some of the details on how to do that, but I just want to plant that seed. I want to let you know that we do have a path for you if you want to scale and grow your business. And in the next episode, we'll dive a little bit deeper into what that actually looks like, what some of the bottlenecks are in most offices, and how to overcome them. So, Doc, it's great to have you on here today. I look forward to having you on part 5 of our 5-part series with Warren Phillips in the next episode. Hope you have a great day. Take care and God bless. Hey, innovators. Thanks for listening to the Simplified Integration Podcast. The fact that you're listening tells me that you're like me, someone who loves simplicity. And the truth is, those who embrace simplicity are some of the greatest innovators. So I hope you got a ton of value from what we covered on today's episode. Be sure to subscribe and share with other docs that you feel could benefit from greater sophistication through simplification and innovation. If you've got specific questions that you'd like answered on this podcast, or you've got specific topics that you'd like me to discuss, just shoot me an email at info@integrationsecrets.com. That's info@integrationsecrets.com.